Let's set aside the fact that Revival Fitness took Pop Sydney. The fact that he promotes a carnivore type diet by default makes him a fucking ass clown. Straight up. I don't care what else you've done in life. If you're promoting an anti-vegetable diet, you're an ass clown. That includes Revival Fitness. That includes Jordan Peterson. Anybody who could be convinced to even try a carnivore diet, I struggle to believe that they're intelligent enough to tie their own shoelaces, because he is killing people with his diet. So any good that he may have done has been completely undone by the fucking death and carnage he has caused. That's like trying to justify good things that you think Hitler did. Well, there's some bad shit that has to be balanced against that, guys. There are people who are going to suffer the rest of their lives, thousands of them, because of him, physically suffer. So when you say, well, I've done other good things, but you caused the death of thousands of people.
Chest up, shoulders back. This is Revival Fitness, your home for gains and brains. And yeah, be sure to join the class action lawsuit against me and I guess Jordan Peterson and whoever else has tried out carnivore and talked about it. You might get $15 and maybe a movie ticket. I have a number of clients that I work with on a regular basis. The amount of them that do carnivore is, I think, 1. If you want to try it, be my guest. It's not this death wish that so many people have been indoctrinated into believing that it is. I mean, you can see me here. I'm reporting live from, this is a hospital. I'm in a hospital bed. I am on a ventilator. I have moments left to live. I have suffered so terribly doing this diet. Not simply the bulk for the past few months. I've really done this diet for a year, most of 2024. We'll talk about the details coming up in a second. But as you can see, I am terribly sick. I have no energy, no libido, no strength. I can't perform in the gym. All my lifts have totally gone down. I'm losing muscle mass, which is really funny because I'm at a point now that I am, you could call it pathologically, I can't stop. It's terribly unproductive. I need to fix it. But I'm hitting PRs in the gym on almost everything on a consistent basis. My skin is looking pretty good. That is what prompted me to try this diet in the first place. I was desperate to get rid of the psoriasis patches that were covering my body. None of the creams or medications that I tried really worked. This diet fixed it within the span of a month. I started with 1 on my leg, then there was 2 on that leg. Wake up another day, there's another one on the other leg. Then it went to my arms, my armpits. It was going all over, and I realized if I don't take control of this soon, I'm going to look ridiculous. And keep in mind as well, I was suffering mostly cosmetic effects from diet. But there's plenty of people that come to carnivore and they are suffering major health problems that they end up totally alleviating, or at least really getting down to a much more controllable level thanks to this diet. And if you are familiar with the diet and the science behind it, you can understand why that happens, but most people aren't, and they think this is all some sort of grand conspiracy theory. So I tested the waters a bit, my skin cleared up, but I went back to my normal bulking diet, and unsurprisingly, the spots started to come back. Then going into 2024, I was preparing for a bodybuilding show. I decided to adopt a similar diet for cutting, because one of the biggest benefits overall of carnivore is that it is very satiating. And after that, I decided I'm going to do something that's pretty unprecedented, because you see almost everybody who talks about it uses it for fat loss. I am using it in a bulking phase now as I'm trying to build muscle, and there's going to be some body fat that goes with it. The goal, of course, being to minimize the body fat gain as much as possible. And something to note as well, I have tried pretty much every common variation of diet there is. I've never been vegan. A few years ago, before I even started the channel, I was vegetarian for a period of time. I then went into sort of standard mixed diet for a while. I have done iterations of keto. I have done full strict carnivore during the cut, as in exclusively animal foods. I have done carnivore in the sense that it is 70% of animal foods. I've heard a lot of people mention that. I think that comes from the animal kingdom classification. That's what I'm really doing now. It's not exclusively animal foods that I'm eating, but it is the vast majority of what I eat. So after my show, I got down to the mid 150 pound range. That's what happens whenever you cut down extremely low body fat. You're going to be much lighter than you think. Just a heads up for some of you who are going to embark on that journey. It is a mind trip. And as you can imagine after that show, as is pretty much standard in bodybuilders, especially more amateurs, that's the level I'm at, I went on a binge of sweets, and I did not even do so out of desperation. I fully expected to do that. I bought the candy beforehand. I was eating giant Reese's cups. I'm talking like the 1 pound ones. You can't even find them in the store. You have to buy them online. But no matter what you eat, after you restrict food for so long to get ready for the stage, your hunger is going to be completely out of control. And now that the show's over, you can eat whatever you want. And a lot of people do, and a lot of people gain lots of weight back very quickly, but not even 1 full month after my show, I had gained almost 30 pounds, and that's whenever I embarked on the 6,000 calorie carnivore bulk. I covered this in a previous video. I'm not going to go over the entire diet here, but especially for someone like me, I am naturally on the skinnier side. I don't have a huge appetite in general. I don't think a lot of people could manage eating this much food, carnivore. Maybe Eddie Hall. I think he was doing 10,000 or more. And he talked about this diet too. He talked glowingly about it as far as I can tell, so I guess you can throw him in the lawsuit too. But just to give you a quick recap, the diet consisted of a dozen eggs, half a pound of sausage, and 2 slices of cheese in the morning. Went on to drink raw heavy cream, 1 pint or 2 cups every day. That is no longer in the diet, as you're going to see, but I'm really glad because that got really old. I did this as an experiment to hit the 6,000 number. Cream was the only way I could possibly get there. Then we had 1 pound of ground beef, that is 80-20, and another slice of cheese. I had 2 cups of raw milk. So many health problems, so many people dropping dead, you'd think. Later on in the night, I'd have another pound of ground beef, as well as 2 slices of cheese. Throughout the day when cooking, I would use 4 tablespoons of butter, and I would put some sour cream on top of those meals as well. This came out to 6,044 calories, 280 grams of protein, 43 grams of carbs. That's something to note with this diet as well. I get a lot of comments saying, no carbs? There are some carbs in this diet. I mean, you could eat no carbs at all if you feel like it, but my diet is not totally devoid of them, and a whopping 528 grams of fat. That was probably the biggest issue I encountered with this diet. A side effect of that is the shits. I would just be standing there doing work, and then all of a sudden, you have to run to the toilet. And it got to a point where I tried different remedies. I tried ox bile, I tried probiotic supplements, I tried breaking up the fat consumption more throughout the day than in one sitting. But even so, I was eating a lot of fat all day long, given the diet. It got to a point where it was unsustainable in that sense. Now keep in mind, people will say, oh, so the diet's unsustainable. Not the diet itself outright. The amount of fat that I was consuming was unsustainable for me. There's a very easy solution. Just reduce all of that fat. So now you might be asking, well, why did you do this crazy diet in the first place, especially with that amount of food? Because it's an experiment. I wanted to see, and you can watch this in the original video, maybe I'll just put up a clip right now so you can see it for reference. So age, I just turned 28. Height, I am 5'10". My current weight at the start of this, stabilizing after the show, was about 185 pounds. And then the activity. So this is something that's kind of funny in its own right. You pick your activity multiplier and you find your so-called maintenance calories, your TDEE, based on what you input and this estimate here. Which again is extremely vague, but people think this is like some ironclad hard science. So what I'm going to do, guys, for the purpose of this experiment, I'm going to pick the highest outputs possible to make the margin of error as small as possible. Let's just pick the extra active one. So to maintain weight, and mind you, I picked the highest energy multiplier possible, 3,449 calories a day. Now let's show the info for weight gain. Mild weight gain is 36.99. 1 pound a week, that is the 500 surplus, as you can see, compared to that. 3,949 calories a day. Fast weight gain, 2 pounds a week. 4,449 calories a day. So I am 2,500 calories per day over this amount here that says I should maintain my weight, and that is 1,500 more than the point that I should be gaining, apparently, 2 pounds a week. So based on this calculator, every subsequent 250 calorie addition is going to net 0.5 more pounds gained per week. So if we take 6,000, subtract it from the maintenance weight, 2,551, divide that by 500, which should equal 1 pound gain a week. That gives us a multiplier of 5.1. Let's multiply that by half a year, 26 weeks. I should gain over 132 pounds by the beginning of 2025. According to all conventional wisdom and calorie calculators, I should have gained so much fat up to this point following that diet. So now you can take a guess. How much weight do you think I gained at the pinnacle of the 6,000 calorie carnivore bulk? Over that time span, the highest that my weight got was 196 pounds. And this was a one-off. It was not even consistently this high. I was getting up to around 190. I slowly crawled toward the end of October into November, around 191 to 192. And that was the apex of my weight gain on this diet. The 196 point was an outlier. It did not consistently stay that high in the days after I measured it. So at this point, I get accused of lying and people say, "You didn't actually eat that much, bro." I did. It was painful. There's a reason I stopped doing it, because I could not keep up with it. I have the grocery receipts to prove it. My grocery bill was off the charts. And that is especially the case if you are going to buy everything organic, pasture-raised, grass-fed, etc. You don't have to do that, by the way. There are some people that do carnivore that are kind of elitist in that sense, and they make it sound like you have to buy those things to do this diet and see benefits from it. You do not. I do like to support local farmers, and I still do that. But if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Just do what you can. But you can see this ridiculous discrepancy. I was projected by every single calculator, any person you would ask in the industry, general people, it doesn't matter. I was supposed to gain dozens and dozens of pounds, the vast majority of that being fat. My body fat is roughly the same, I would say. Really, you could call this the closest to a lean bulk that I've ever had. There's a lot of factors, of course, and I think the next experiment that I would have to do, the same number of calories on paper, but invert the fats and the carbs, and I looked at that briefly doing some math. I would have to eat like 800 plus grams of carbs a day if I'm going to drop the fat very low and keep the protein the same. And I would not look forward to that. But I have to say, I like this way of eating a lot, and I don't see myself deviating from it anytime soon. Something a lot of people have asked me is, whenever you first switched to it, did your gym performance suffer? Because the carbs are so low in relation to what any general fitness information is going to tell you. And for me, not really. I mean, some people, if they change their diet relatively fast, they will see negative side effects when it comes to energy, digestion, gym performance, etc. I didn't see a lot of that for myself. Now, I might be an outlier in that regard. I know some people have the same experience, so you'll have to see for yourself how that goes. But that's one of the biggest hits against this diet that people say, "Oh, well, you're not going to have any energy to train." Sure you will. "Oh, you can't build muscle." Sure you can. Probably my favorite is the inevitable, "Oh, I tried carnivore for a few days, bro. Oh, gym was terrible. I had no energy. I couldn't do it." You tried it for a few days, man. You need to give things ample time to really start working. I've heard some people say that it can take weeks for them to get fully fat adapted, which is not exactly the same as being in ketosis, by the way. It's not even beneficial to always be in ketosis. Your body's going to naturally kick you out at certain points during the day, as far as I understand it. But even so, I don't measure my ketone levels all the time. I'm not peeing on sticks. I'm not doing a bunch of blood tests. I don't really care about being in ketosis or not. I can say though, because I've experienced this both during cuts and bulks, the single biggest tangible difference on a day-to-day basis, being high fat versus high carb or mixed, is that the mental clarity is night and day difference. So even during my cut, whenever I was eating, it was like 20 or 30 grams of carbs a day. Some days I was having none at all. It was purely beef and eggs and maybe some cheese. Even when my energy was that depleted, I found it very easy to just focus on tasks. Whereas even in the past, whenever I was in an abundance of energy, I was eating all kinds of food, the brain fog would get to a point that it's almost uncontrollable. I know some of you go through this right now, like you're just constantly going from thing to thing, jumping around, but not doing anything actually, not finishing tasks. You open something here, check your phone, open a tab here, check your phone again. You just find yourself in random rooms looking at stuff. It's very easy to just get distracted over and over and over all the time. Even with that, I find that whenever I'm on a high-fat diet, the mental clarity aspect is demonstrable. So with all of that said, let's go into the new iteration. I'm still at about 300 grams of protein a day. Now, do I need to consume that much protein? Probably not. But am I a bro at heart who's going to always eat a bunch of protein because gains, bro? Yes. Total carbs for the day comes out to
74.
And fat is 390 grams. And I find for myself that this level of fat, compared to last time, the digestive problems are almost non-existent, very few, and overall it's just much easier to do this way. So compared to the previous version, I am eating a bit less beef overall. I do start the day still with a dozen eggs, and I have sausage to go with that, and then I will go into the pre-workout meal. So a new addition to this version of the diet is Oikos Pro Greek yogurt. You guys heard me talk about in the past why if you're going to have carbs in your diet, no matter the capacity, if you're doing extremely high carbs, you don't really have a choice because you can't just eat that much food in a short time frame. But if you can, to the best of your ability, I would advocate having almost all of your carbs, if not all of them exclusively, during the pre- and or post-workout window. I would say pre-workout window is better if having to choose. You often hear people talking about intra-workout nutrition. I might try that down the line to see if it affects my performance, and I'm eating this yogurt for a few reasons. Before switching to the yogurt, was testing out chicken and rice, classic bodybuilding staple. The reason I go with the yogurt is because, one, I do like the taste of it, but really, it is much more time effective. A lot of you younger lifters might be getting to this point now, and it does not get better, I can tell you that. You're going to spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and meal prepping, and eating in general, with this lifestyle, if you are serious about it. And I'm at the point now, guys, where I want to minimize the amount of time I spend in the kitchen as much as possible. I like to do yogurt because I can take it out, weigh it out, eat it, go about my day. It's very easy. I will say though, if you are a typical chicken and rice bro, I would recommend getting this rice to save yourself a lot of time. I found this on Amazon. It is called nishiki. This rice comes pre-prepared. All you have to do is heat it up for about 90 seconds. It's about 75 grams or so. Pro tip for you too. When you make this, pour in some chicken broth to add a little bit of flavor. It tastes very good. It's so quick to do, very convenient. I will link it down below if you want to try it. And I also added this specifically for pre-workout. This is cluster dextrin. You also see it called cyclic dextrin. I use this one from Transparent Labs. You can use code REVIVAL on Transparent Labs website to get 10% off any order that you make. So the formal name is highly branched cyclic dextrin, or HBCD, and it is unique because it is one of the fastest absorbing carbohydrates that we know of. I like to have the cluster dextrin about 20 minutes right before starting my workout. You could even arrive to the gym and drink it right before you begin. And unlike some other carbohydrate powders, like typical maltodextrin, which I have tried in the past as well, that made me go to the bathroom pretty quickly. Cluster dextrin, no digestive problems. You can easily mix it into any beverage that you like, and I am very pleased with it. And with the cyclic dextrin pre-workout, I will add in 1 scoop of the hydrate electrolytes. For under $1 a serving, they have these available both in the small tub, as you can see here, and in packets. You will save more per serving if you buy the tub. But for the price, this is an elite electrolyte supplement. This includes high-quality calcium, magnesium, sodium, as well as potassium, and there is also 1 gram of taurine, as well as Senactive, to boost performance during training. The biggest electrolyte issue that I think I experienced in the past was cramping. The most common spots for me were the hamstrings, the abs, and the calves. Since adding in this supplement, I have dealt with 0 cramping issues at all. So before the workout, I have about 510 grams of Oikos. That is 51 grams of protein and only 24 grams of carbs. After the workout, I have the same thing. As you can imagine, I have to buy a lot of tubs of yogurt. Sometimes I go to the store and there's none, and I freak out. I have to drive to another store. I have to go grocery shopping a fair amount to keep up with my yogurt demands. Then going into the evening, that's when we go back to only protein and fat. And I have my ground beef. I like to put cheese on top of that. I also will eat slices of cheese. I've been doing medium cheddar lately, maybe some mozzarella. But that is what rounds us out and brings us to the 5,000 a day. I put in this little stainless steel tray, and then I put the beef inside of a cast iron little skillet. I put that inside of the air fryer for about 15 minutes. It comes out tasting delicious, every single time. I also take collagen daily. This is grass-fed bovine collagen. That has benefits not only for skin, but also joint health. If you're a lifter overall, I think collagen is something that you want to be taking. I think I get a good amount of it from the diet. I like to take this as an insurance policy though. I also take one soft gel of vitamin D per day. I get this one specifically because not only does it contain 5,000 IUs of vitamin D, it also contains vitamin K2, which enhances the effects of vitamin D, and not only the MK7 form, which is the industry standard across almost every other vitamin D supplement that I've seen. This includes MK4 as well, and that is the one that the body is truly going to use in a more holistic sense than MK7. And this also includes some vitamin A from cod liver oil as well. Once again, for the price point, this is a great supplement, and especially in the cold months, if you live somewhere that it is not nice out pretty much all the time, I would recommend taking vitamin D. I have got my levels checked in the past, and they were very low. I've seen some doctors even posting recently about vitamin D levels in their youth patients in general, and they're remarkably low across the board. Most of us now spend a lot of time, whether it's in the house, in school, in the office, even in the gym. There's not a ton of direct sun exposure anymore, and supplementing vitamin D is the best way to reliably counteract that. And yes, you are seeing this correctly. This is a pre-workout. Now, you guys heard me talk about it in the past many times. I've never been big on pre-workout. I've tried some in the past, very sporadically, never consistently. So I decided to give the bulk pre-workout a try. I had to. I mean, look at the name. It's beautiful. I can definitely say this about this one. The pump is excellent. It definitely enhances blood flow. The caffeine, and it's not only in this supplement, this is other ones I've taken too. I've never really gotten a big effect of caffeine, this big wake up that people describe. Maybe I need to take a much bigger dose. Nothing's worse than getting to the gym, about to start your first exercise of the day, then having to run to take a shit. Some of you drink so much caffeine and take so much pre-workout that's normal for you, but I know pre-workout is integral for a lot of you, and this one has very high quality ingredients, as do all of the transparent products. And I think I'm going to do a giveaway of this. I will probably announce it on my Instagram, so be sure to follow me there. And the final supplement I take an hour before bed. It is Transparent Labs Sleep and Recover. Now, they have this available with melatonin or without. Some people would say, of course you want to take melatonin for sleep, but some people don't want to be dependent on that. I have used melatonin in the past. I have not for a number of years now, so I use the melatonin-free version. It helps kind of just ease you into sleep, and I have no disturbances. I wake up in the morning now before my alarm clock goes off. I have a natural circadian rhythm, which this supplement definitely helps with too. But especially for the price, this supplement has a great blend of not only sleep aid, but also things that can assist with overall recovery. Magnesium, it has zinc, it has 1 gram of L-glycine, 500 milligrams of tart cherry. That is going to be beneficial with antioxidants. So that is that, and I will be following this diet, at least bulking in general, probably until the end of 2025. I think I'm going to go the full year, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions about this diet. Drop them down below and I will answer what I can. But this has been it for me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to check out my programs down below, as well as the Body Composition Bible Nutrition Guide, if you want to go into serious detail about a lot of the things we talked about in this video. If you want to get in direct contact with me, you can fill out the coaching inquiry down below at the link in the description, or join Patreon, get in one-on-one contact with me, and get lifetime access to our Discord server. And you can save 10% off all orders at Transparent Labs using code REVIVAL at checkout. And I will catch you guys next time.